Hello, I'm Quinten Buys with student number 120956.
And I'm Jeroen Burgraaf with student number 121862.
And we are here to present the Banjo and Kazooie level design 3.
This is an overview of our level. As you can see, there is a big swamp area and a big brewery in the center of the level. The swamp is all connected by platforming puzzles. We did choose to disconnect the darker areas because these are related to the transform in our level. Our first pocket of activity is based around the standard platforming mechanics of Banjo and Kazooie. There are a few pickups and a few enemies to explore here. This pocket is marked with the red circles. Our second pocket of activity is marked with blue circles. This activity is based around the flying mechanics in Banjo and Kazooie. We wanted to have the player fly around the level and investigate the darker areas, as the player does not yet know what this is. Our third pocket of activity is marked with green circles. This pocket are in the darkness, which will be explained later because it's part of our transformation. When you enter the brewery from the outside through the front door, you get to the ground floor. We have 3 more pockets of activity. This is our first pocket of activity. This is a jumping puzzle with enemies to get to a jiggy that is on top of a stack of barrels. This is our second pocket of activity, which will be explained later because it's a small mini game. This is our third pocket of activity. It is a jumping puzzle to explore a certain area which you later come back to as a transformation. Furthermore, we have a maze, which is the main mini game, and the boss room, which will be explained later on. Our levels relate to the main theme because we have an outside swamp area where we have a giant brewery where you have to go in and defeat the brewery's brewmaster. The backstory is that the brewery is used for Gruntilda's potion creation, so there are many different experimental juices floating around. To ensure proper sizing of the level, we exported the mesh of Banjo and Kazooie from the backpack level editor using a plugin. Then we worked on the brewery. We made a mesh and added a door that would look alright relative to the size of the brewery. We then scaled it up to have the door match Banjo and Kazooie's size. We played the original level ourselves and compared it to a player's online time, and with this we were able to aim for an accurate time for our new level design. To measure the jump heights and distances of the possible jumps, we found a plugin for the emulator that allowed us to export certain instances of the game. We took out areas where Banjo and Kazooie could barely make the jump with the jump we were testing, and measured that as our maximum jump distance or height for the respective jump. The starting point of our level for Banjo and Kazooie was decided to increase the curiosity of the player by giving a good view of most of the level, but also leaving some parts out to make the player want to explore more of this world. We also made a big brewery which is visible from the start point. This will make the player want to go inside and see what you can do there. The first 5 jiggies are located on the outside part of the level. Our first jiggy is on top of the brewery, encouraging the player to find a way to get up, which will be by flying. Our second jiggy is inside a tree. The jiggy and pickups are on top of the tree for clarity of the presentation. The player has to run down a slide inside the tree to get all the items inside it. Our third jiggy is inside a giant tube, which sucks water out of the swamp for the brewery. When transformed, you can also get sucked up. This is the only way to get the jiggy. We'll explain the transformation later. Our fourth jiggy can be obtained during a timed race in complete darkness, where you have to use your transformation powers against a shaman mutated fish. This will be explained in our minigame section. Our last outside jiggy is located in a small building where the player will play a minigame, which will be explained later. Jiggy number 6 and 7 are on the ground floor of the brewery. Jiggy number 6 is a jumping fighting puzzle to get on top of a stack of barrels. Jiggy number 7 is a jiggy that is secret in the water basin inside the brewery. Jiggy number 8 is on a new floor and is obtained by doing a maze-based timed event, which is explained in the minigame section. Number 9 is obtained from Brewski the Brewmaster in the boss room. Our first Jinjo can be activated by using the Witch Switch inside of the maze, where you also obtain the 8th Jiggy. It is located in the center of the outside level after a platforming puzzle. Our second Jinjo is located in a hollow part of a tree. It can only be reached by flying. We choose this location because it is fairly easy to get but hard to find, and we wanted to make the player use Banjo and Kazooie's ability to stand still and look around and to view the level. Also, it is pretty cool to soar around the trees. Our third Jinjo is located in a tube inside the swamp, only reachable when transformed. We choose this location because it encourages exploration of the tubes. Who knows what you might find in the other tubes? Our fourth Jinjo is at the ground floor of the brewery and is hidden in the last part of the jumping puzzle. It is hidden in one of the caves in the wall. The last Jinjo is inside the small tube which takes the player up to the maze. Seeing the Jinjo inside the tube encourages the player to find a way into the tube. This is done by transforming and being sucked up by the tube outside the brewery. In total we have 10 Mumbo Skulls. The first one is hidden inside a tube. Number 2 and 3 are inside 2 separate trees adjacent to the Jiggy tree. 4 and 5 can be obtained by flying over the pipes on top of the brewery. The 6th Mumbo Skull can only be obtained with the right configuration of the barrel minigame. This is on the ground floor of the brewery. The 7th Mumbo Skull is also on the ground floor of the brewery, inside the poison basin. The 8th Mumbo Skull is located on top of the tube that the player comes in through when transformed and sucked up. This is also on the ground floor of the brewery. Mumbo Skull 9 and 10 are found in the timed maze as rewards for closing 2 of the supply pipes. Just like any other Banjo and Kazooie level, we have 2 empty honeycombs. Our first empty honeycomb can be found inside one of the treetops at the side. It is not inside the tree, so it needs to be reached by flying. Our second empty honeycomb is in a corner of the level next to the brewery and can only be obtained when transformed. We place the empty honeycombs in areas we thought the player would not visit on its critical path. We also have 2 one-ups. Our first one-up is at the backside of the brewery at the very top and can only be obtained when flying. The second one is behind where Banjo and Kazooie can play one of the mini-games. We also have 2 beehives in our level. One of the beehives is located next to the big tree and is a bit further in the level where the player might have lost some health already. The second one is at the start of the level near one of the platforming puzzles. The player might not take it on the first time they pass it, but later on the player will have to go get the Jinjo that is later on the same route as this beehive. Our Witch Switch is in the timed maze and is a separate route from the main path. It activates the green Jinjo outside. The level features 11 Flibbits and 1 boss that are battled. There are also 2 NPCs which you have to beat in their minigame, but not defeat through a fight.
As for races and minigames, we have 1 race in the level where you race against a shamanistic anglerfish in transformation mode. As soon as you talk to the shaman anglerfish, it will cast a spell of total darkness on the level, and then you have to race him in total darkness. However, the darkness is lifted by pickups, by your own angler, by your opponent's angler, and also by the glowing light of the checkpoints. Considering the location and the track of this race, we have taken in consideration the normal races in Banjo and Kazooie. We have a minigame where you are in transformation mode, so as the anglerfish you can be sucked into the tube. The suction of this pipe is so strong that you'll be forced to continuously move forward. The last minigame, also played in transformation mode, is against another anglerfish to see who can collect the most fireflies. Fireflies are attracted to the strongest light in the level. You need to continuously keep the light of your angle higher than that of your opponent's. However, in the final stages of the minigame, the opponent's light will always be higher than yours. You really need to look out for where your opponent is versus where the fireflies are at that moment.
Banjo and Kazooie gets transformed into a mutated fish with legs and a lantern attached to its head. There are several special features that come with the transformations. a lantern that allows the player to explore the darker areas of the game that would normally kill Banjo and Kazooie, unlimited swimming, and being smaller so the fish can go into small tubes. When transformed, the player can only use one jump, which is lower than a normal Banjo and Kazooie jump. Next to that, the player only has one small bite attack. In our level, just like the original level, we introduced the swamp boots. They are explained when first picked up by Bottles the Mole. Our level features a mini-boss in the form of Brewski the Brewmaster, the tastier designer and maker of Gruntilda's potions, until she got her new kettle. But Brewski is not going to stop making the best potions ever, despite being replaced. Brewski is mad at Banjo and Kazooie for entering the brewery without permission, and wants to take revenge on them. In the boss battle, Brewski launches potions at you using his catapults, which are color and shape coded. Before Brewski launches a catapult, Banjo and Kazooie will get a marker on them, following them around until it locks on. After launching, Banjo and Kazooie have a split moment to get out of the marker before the potion hits them. If the correct colored potion lands on the same coded platform on the ground, the potion will be launched back at Brewski. This needs to be done 4 times. When Banjo and Kazooie hit Brewski the first time, he will get mad with anger and slam the ground, taking out 2 random platforms and replacing them with skull platforms, which will damage Banjo and Kazooie when the player walks on them. After this, all the platforms will be shuffled around. After the battle, Brewski will disappear in a puff and reveals the path to the next level, leaving behind a Jiggy.